Welcome to Teams Tips. I'm Amanda Pritchard, a UTD alum and the Microsoft 365 specialist at UT Dallas. I am thrilled that you're joining us today and look forward to an engaging presentation with you all. Just a little bit of housekeeping. If this is your first time engaging in a Teams live presentation, know that closed captioning is available at the bottom right of your screen and you can activate it at any time. In addition, we posted a comment in the chat and I encourage you to navigate to the upper right corner and select that Q&A option. From there, you'll be able to see our welcome message. Please like it to confirm that you have access and are able to use the chat. And for those of you who need a little incentive, there will be a chat. I think it's already out there, and we'll share a tip with you on how you can enter our giveaway for some awesome swag at the end of the session. But you're going to have to read about all those details in the chat. Yesterday, I had the pleasure of volunteering at the COVID vaccination center on campus. It was a great reminder to me of how important it is to have structure as a means of creating efficiency. Everything at that site moved seamlessly and was well communicated. Even me having had nothing to do with the planning or preparation, I felt comfortable jumping in and joining the effort. While it may not seem like it, we can maximize our meeting experiences, even virtually, to create that kind of comfort and organization. Let me go ahead and get my slides pulled up. Perfect. Whether you identify as someone with no knowledge of Teams or someone who's very familiar with the platform, know that we're going to cover content that will be helpful and beneficial to anyone at any level. It's the Office of Information Technology's goal to help ensure that you're properly equipped with techniques to maximize technical tools. Behind the scenes today, we have amazing student workers helping to run the production side of the event. I owe so much credit to the incredible efforts of Soy and Megzalite, who have poured their energy and efforts into making this training what it is. You may not see them, but know it's their assistance and commitment to serving others that made today possible. And thank you to Denison Rice for helping to tackle the Q&A behind the scenes. He'll be available to help answer your questions there. Okay, so next, as we have a few people logging in, I want to draw your attention to our remaining spring schedule. Each of the events listed on this slide include a QR code to simplify the registration process. So if you have your smartphone and you have your camera open, you can scan the code to whichever event or both that interest you. So just to call attention, we've got the next one is going to be on Teams calling. So from managing your call history to setting up voicemail, we're going to cover everything you need to know to maximize your calling experience on Teams Voice. So that's the first one. The next one is if you need a new outlook on life, or if you just want to make Outlook a little bit easier by creating rules, publishing calendars, or categorizing meetings and emails, then check out that training on April 27th. We're also going to add both of those links into our chat, so you'll see that in the chat box, so that if you prefer to register using that direct link, you can access it there. Next, let's move to today's topic. Today, we will cover all there is to know about Teams meetings. I know, after a year-long relationship with Teams, you may feel like you know it inside and out, but it's time to take this relationship to the next level and show you features to help you maximize collaboration and enhance attendees' experiences. Let's face it, managing Teams meetings means you have a lot of hats to wear, but ensuring you know when to tip your hat to the right controls is as critical as sorting everyone into the right houses. Before we begin, open up Teams using your web browser by typing in office.com or by using your desktop Teams app so you can follow along with this training and try some of the features we'll be discussing today. And it looks like we lost our slides, so if we can get those pulled back up, and we'll follow along with the slides so that you can see the different options to get to Office. So all of us have Teams on our desktop, so you can access it there. And you can also access it on office.com. We want to call your attention and that you can always rope in the latest Microsoft products that are updated and offer full accessibility features by navigating to office.com. So once you have that pulled up, you can follow along and click through with us on each of the items that we're going to cover today. So next, let's go over today's objectives. Before we take off, let's cover today's flight plan. We will be cruising through the following topics in today's session. Many of these tips at the beginning may feel routine for you, such as creating meetings and using the scheduling assistant. Once we reach our cruising altitude, we'll cover a few more in-depth topics, such as meeting options. And as we begin our descent, we'll unveil reporting and new releases from Microsoft. Unfortunately, in the interest of time, beverage service is not available. But you are equipped with emergency exits by either pausing or rewinding the live event feed by clicking the line at the bottom of your screen. So for now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight. Next, we start looking at meetings. Let me switch from my slides to start sharing my demo screen. Just one moment. Okay, beautiful. I show that it is up. So we're covering the basics and just how to have Teams meetings. Sometimes you can feel frozen in starting a new meeting by not knowing what steps to take. We're not naturally equipped to handle meetings online, but we can use techniques to break the ice and let us move ahead. So we're going to cover first how you can create a Teams meeting using Outlook or your Teams app. Either way, you can create a Teams meeting. The first option is to go to Outlook, and then you click on your calendar icon in Outlook. I've already got my calendar pulled up, so you can see all of the meetings that you have scheduled. Pray your calendar does not look like mine. Click on your availability, and from there you can enter in your details and select Teams meeting. The Teams meeting automatically creates the link as soon as you create that, so anybody will be able to join. Then you just have to add in your any people from outside UT Dallas. You want to make sure when you're adding any external participants to put their full email address. Some people are worth melting for, but to prevent them from having a meltdown when they're trying to join, it's a good idea to ask them to download the Teams app to maximize their ease in joining. The second option to add a meeting is directly on your Teams. Let me pull that up. Same process here. From your Teams calendar, you can open up a Teams meeting and schedule the meeting by putting in any of your details. Unlike in Outlook, when you click on to create a meeting in Teams, it auto provides you that meeting link. So there's no additional step in creating your meeting there. Okay. You can also, if you don't want to have one scheduled, you can select the Meet Now. I'm not going to do that for you because I don't want to get pulled off this call and onto another Teams meeting. But if you want to do an impromptu meeting, you can select Meet Now. I'll just click that. And you can either get a link to share, or you can start the meeting and then call your participants on as you're needing them to join. Okay, I'm going to pull up and move back to Outlook to show you something else. So I have to be fair and disclose one of my pet peeves with all of you. My son asked me just this past weekend as to my top 3 pet peeves, and this one was on my list. Y'all, this may blow your mind, but you never need to ask someone if they're available at a certain time, if they have a conflict, or can meet at a certain date or time. No more doodle polls or emails listing possible meeting times. There is a scheduling assistant in both Teams and Outlook that you can use to check availability. After all, the more you read, the more you know, the more you learn, and the more places you'll go. When you create a meeting, you have the option to check a person's availability and select a time that's convenient for everyone. From the meeting itself, once you have it open, you can select the scheduling assistant. And I need to pull up a meeting where I actually have people invited so that we can compare that scheduling assistant. You can compare individuals' times and schedules and find an appropriate time slot when there's no other meeting scheduled so that your meeting can occur. Now, if you're navigating with my schedule, you're not going to have much luck. But generally, you can see and can compare when there's somebody's availability. By typing in their name, you can review what their schedule is. You can select a time that everyone can participate. This is self-serviced at its finest. It's also a fun way to spy on what other people are doing. So, after finding the right time and scheduling the meeting, you can always come back to meetings later and add or modify the meeting events, either in Outlook or on the Teams Calendar app. After you've created a meeting, you can go back in and make any changes by just double clicking. I get asked that a lot for people that are afraid that they're going to break something, but you can go in and make your edits and send updates to all participating parties for their reference. Meetings and Teams are easy to start with the click of a button. Don't stay apart. You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting. So get on your way. While in the Teams app, let me get there first. So while in the Teams app, let's cover a few ways to prevent those meeting interruptions. Soy, what's the best way to do this in Teams?
Hi, Amanda. Let me help you answer that. So sometimes you don't want anyone to ping you when you're in a meeting or even just working on something very important or you require focus. Be sure to adjust your notification setting before any of your event. So on your Teams application, you can simply click on your profile picture and change available to do not disturb. Once this is done, you're not going to get any notification or sound alert during your meetings or personal work. For those who may be wondering why you're not responding, you can also set a status message and stick show message to people who message me. This way, people that message you will know what you're up to. As a meeting organizer, it's also best practice for large events to include a link to join, both in your team status message and your Outlook out of office. That way, anyone needing the link to join the meeting can automatically receive it when they reach out to you. Let's say you also want to receive notifications, but restrict the types of notifications that you get. Again, click on your profile picture, go to settings, click on notifications. Here you can choose from these three options on what kind of notification you want to get. You can also adjust whether you get a banner pop-up or just a feed notification in this slide. I hope that was helpful, Amanda.
That was great. Thank you so much. See here. I believe now I'm going to stop sharing, and we have a video that we wanted you all to be able to watch today. So understanding when to get notifications, setting how people enter meetings is critical to creating a smooth experience so you can be off to the races. I bet you've experienced challenging meetings that were off track. We're going to watch a short clip that highlights the relatable experiences of how we can miss the finish line in virtual meetings by all jockeying for attention.
Trip Crosby, has joined the meeting.
Beth?
Has joined the meeting.
Hello?
Tyler?
No, this is Beth from ICS.
Oh, hey, Beth. How are you doing?
Oh, good. Yeah. Just making it,
Tyler?
Has joined the meeting.
All right, well, this is Trip. Who's here? Tyler's here.
Beth's here.
Okay, the purpose of today's meeting is to discuss the...
Yeah, I'll be able to do it in like 30 minutes. John?
Has joined the meeting.
Hi, John.
Hi.
I was just trying to go over the purpose of today's meeting, which is to discuss the Tyler?
Has joined the meeting.
Sorry, guys, I got cut off. Is Paul here? Send him an invite.
Put in your access code.
No, that's your PIN number.
It should be a 9-digit number.
Try pressing the pound key. Paul.
Has joined the meeting.
Any questions before we move on?
Yes, this is Beth. What's our best plan of attack for the second quarter?
Question
What
actually...
we should do.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I think
Well,
what we should do.
It
is
actually
really
depends on
diversify.
how you look at it, because
and
the
really
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I think
Given
what we-
sales
what we
forever.
really-
Let me just say that
Okay.
was a great graph, John. Tyler?
Well, my main concern with the projections from last year was that they're just insufficient. I mean, they're not even taking into account.
Did we lose Tyler again?
Hello?
John, are you guys taking distributions? John?
Oh, my bad. I was on mute. Let me start over.
So I've prepared a presentation. I'm sharing it with all of you. You should be able to see it on your screen right now.
Got it.
I don't see a link anywhere.
It says I need to download a plugin.
We are all using Macs, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
How can you?
Financials are looking great. Paul, do you have any comments on staffing?
I was thinking about that because we get a few more contractor types in. Hold on, I'm sorry.
Rex, get down!
I don't know. I feel like when I look at the numbers, that could really go against it. So if we would really tighten that up, then I
Well, to me, staffing is a huge impact.
that?
Is that me? Is that me?
Not me, I don't think.
I just want to go over a couple of details as we move into our next section here. We got 3 new departments coming on.
Break it up a little bit, guys.
By the end of Q3.
Driving to a
So
dead
I need
spot.
everyone to give me detailed evaluations each
Sorry,
month
guys.
so that we know. That's it, guys. Beth, you'll send out a recap email that could have basically taken the place of this whole meeting, correct?
Yep, always do.
Yeah, thanks for doing that, Beth. Dave, you been here the whole time? Yeah. Huh. Well, thanks everyone once again. Oh, one more.
I don't know about you, but over the past year, those examples are far too relevant. So let's go back to slides and take a look at how teams can better control those issues. I believe I've got, yep, slides are up. I receive a number of calls from clients asking how they can enhance the privacy or add restrictions to meetings. Microsoft is constantly adding options to allow you to maximize control of your settings. You can do this by accessing the meeting options. This feature has always been available in Teams meetings, but the options and what features are there continually increase. I'm going to show this on the slide because I want you to see the opportunities to navigate, and we're going to be taking one of these paths to get to the meeting options. We're not going to take the time to go through each one just because we have restrictions on time today. So this is simply to show you that whether you access it from your team's calendar, whether you go from the meeting itself after it's started, or in the invitation, the meeting organizer has the ability to change these meeting options. And I'll have to say this is one of probably the secret sides to Teams that not everybody realizes is there unless you kind of dig for it. Okay, so the next I've taken a screenshot just to show you a step-by-step and how you can best navigate in order to see these details for the meeting options. So the first would be to go to Teams into your calendar. When you select the calendar, then the second thing you would do is open up that meeting, and in the top bar, you'll see the 3 dots. When you click on the 3 dots, this pop-up box that's showing in the screenshot for number 3 will appear, and you can see that the meeting options are there so that you can select those options. Okay, so let's go next to see how we can go through this using Teams. And I want to make sure that you're able to navigate there. So I'm going to stop sharing slides and share my screen. Okay, perfect. So just to reiterate how to get to meeting options, we're already on my calendar. So we can go into any of the meetings that we've already got. And I think I had we'll just use this one. So from that meeting, you can go up and see the meeting options. Once a meeting's already created, the meeting options are there. And that's what we're going to click on. And I've already got it pulled up on my screen here so that you can see. I have to say that most people haven't seen this behind the scenes, but this is the way that you can create those restrictions and that personalized experience so you don't always have to hear the ping of when somebody enters the room or the unexpected coffee going off and somebody at a coffee shop or that dog barking. You can set up the meeting to be however, to function however you want it to best serve you. So under meeting options, there's a couple of cool features. We're just going to go in order that you see them on the screen here. Who can bypass the lobby? A lot of people don't realize that we even have the lobby function in Teams. You can create a lobby so that you can have certain groups that are required to wait. I know I've talked to a lot of individuals that use this particularly if they're working on interviews. There may be a time where you don't want everybody to be in that meeting. I've also seen this be done for poster competitions and other competitions where you allow people in with the press of a button. When you restrict entry into the lobby, all you have to do is select admit when people start to join. But you can allow people to bypass it. So if you want to have a very restricted meeting, maybe you need to have things set up, you're not ready for people to join directly at 2, you can select that only you want to have access to that lobby, and then afterwards you could individually admit people. It's also a great way if you're trying to have a smaller networking event to acknowledge and to engage with those individuals and greet them as they're coming in. So right now by default, it allows everybody to bypass the lobby. So in our Teams meetings, we don't hear those dings like you did in that video. However, it is available should you want it or should you need it just to keep track or to keep tally of people as they enter and exit the meeting. So same thing with the meeting that we just saw, there is the opportunity to have that announced when people are coming in, should that be your desire. Who can present? This is another item that I've seen. I've been in meetings where inadvertently somebody has accidentally taken over the screen and perhaps shared something or not realized that they were sharing something in a meeting and inadvertently selected that. You can determine as you organize the meeting and after you've invited your presenters, you can determine who actually gets to present. You can select specific people after you've sent the invite out. They have to be invited first. And then you'll be able to see from the list of participants who you want to be able to present. So presenting would mean the ability to share their slides and share their screen with the audience, as opposed to allowing everybody the opportunity to take that over. Now, don't be afraid to go ahead and select this in advance because you can preset it. And then during your meeting, should somebody come about, let's say Soy had another important fact that she wanted to share from the meeting, you are able to adjust these meeting options and I could promote her again to presenter so that she could share something should that arise. So you also have the ability, and this is a new feature that was recently released within the past few months, which is the allow attendees to unmute. You can determine if everybody joining is automatically muted. That eliminates the dogs barking, it eliminates all of those background sounds, or just that inadvertently joining while you're on a walk or while you're on the go and not realizing you're not muted. It does it for them. So you can select that option if you need to have a very quiet, restricted event. Another new feature that they've recently released is allow the meeting chat. I know that in some circumstances, it's preferable to have no chat and to only have that meeting occur verbally so that you're encouraging that one-on-one dialogue or that person-to-person conversation, and no chat, no option to just type in your thoughts. So you can completely disable chat so that no chat will be available for a meeting. Or if you're like me and you sometimes have meetings that are very similar in name and you accidentally send a chat to a meeting that's closed, that has been past due, and your message goes to kind of no one because they're not actively looking for it, you can select in meeting only so that you have that chat available while you're meeting and while you're having that active discussion. But then when your meeting ends, the chat will go away so you don't inadvertently type in there and try to still communicate after the meeting has closed. In addition, you have the option to allow reactions or to turn that feature off. So that allow reactions are some of the new features that Teams release, such as the raise hand, the heart, and some of those other emojis. In certain circumstances, that can be very beneficial to have that reaction from your audience, but in other circumstances, it may not be as professional or best suited for the event. So those are all of your meeting options. I'm going to check in with Denison here because this is generally the thing that gets the most questions from me. For me, Denison, do we have questions about this where I could help clarify any points?
Yes, there is one question.
Great.
It's more along the lines of if someone is admitted or if someone is not automatically admitted into the meeting, what will they see when they're waiting?
Awesome. That's a great question because nobody wants it to be uninviting or cumbersome. So if you do set up the lobby where people are restricted for joining the meeting so that they have to wait until you admit them, you can set that lobby up and have it restricted. A participant would join a Teams meeting and it would just give them a little box that says, in just a moment, the meeting host will let you in the meeting. So it does inform them that you're kind of in this queue. You're waiting until the meeting host admits you. For the meeting organizer, the person that set up the initial meeting, there's a pop-up box that appears that says, I think it's admit, or I don't want to say deny, but it might be deny. But you get to choose, do you want them, if you shall let them pass or not? And so you select those options as the meeting organizer. It'll pop up and then also be in the participant list. So you can choose who you need on or off that meeting. So I hope that helped clarify. And one other clarifying point, I saw another quick question was, the meeting options are available for the meeting organizer because you're the one that's going to be creating the meeting, you're setting the tone, and you're setting the structure for how you want your meeting and your presentations to be held. Okay, were there any other questions before I proceed? I think that was it. Is that right? Okay, perfect. Okay. So when you're organizing a meeting with multiple attendees, you definitely want to look at these options and determining who can present and who cannot. If you give someone presenter status, they can share their screen and speak during the meeting. They'll be able to jump through those restrictions and have that. You can, after you've started the meeting, like I stated, you can change these levels. But those are the two levels. It's essentially presenter or attendee. So the presenter can share screen and speak. Attendee would have to just sit and listen on the way that you set up your controls here. Okay, once you maximize your meeting options and you're ready to join the meeting, we'll go ahead. I need to switch screens again, so let me get out of this one. Give me just a moment to navigate there. And then we're going to set up, we've set up a sample meeting that we'll go ahead and join, but I have to log into another browser. So just one moment and I'll get that pulled up. Dennison, if you want to speak any of the questions to me that might have come in, I can answer while I pull it up too.
Of course. One of the participants asked if they're denied, if the organizer denies them, what happens? Do they stay in the lobby, or are they kicked out of the meeting?
Wow, y'all are really, I mean, I don't want to say they're publicly shunned, but they are told that they're not able to join the meeting at that time. So generally that's just if somebody inadvertently or got that link and perhaps should not have had it, and that's what you would do. And I don't think it's a very negative thing, but they are notified that it's not the appropriate time for them to join. And so if you're admitted, you don't really get a notification. It suddenly connects you and you're there. Any other questions before I move along?
Can you explain how to automatically mute participants as they come in?
Yeah, absolutely. So that was part of the meeting options that we looked at. Let me pull that screen back up before I share this other one for you here. So within the meeting options, once you go into that, you open your Teams calendar, click on the meeting, and then click on meeting options. That's how you get to this. You can select here if you want to allow attendees to unmute. If you select no, then you wait until they can do the raised hand feature. And you could say, John Doe, I see you have your hand raised. You go into the participant list and you would unmute them manually. So they still have the ability to speak. You just control the timing and you have the flexibility of allowing or restricting when they're able to speak so that it's not at an inopportune time. So generally it's a best practice. What we recommend is when you see the raised hand, if you have a very large meeting where you know there's going to be active questions, that you have a chat moderator that could keep a list of who is in queue, and you can even post that in the chat and say, you know, the list of each individual and when they're up next so that you know who to unmute and the participants know when they're going to receive an opportunity to speak. But I've been in some meetings that are 600 people plus or 300 people plus, and that's the only way to kind of keep track of who was first and how to best respond to them. Okay. I'm seeing a few other questions, but I'm going to go ahead and jump on because I know we should have a few people waiting in our meeting here. So it's now time for your meeting. Let's join a meeting that we've already set up for you all today. Once you join, you're going to be able to change your background and to change your meeting preferences. I'm not going to be able to do that because in Teams Live, it's not going to allow me to do that. So let's see if I can join here. It's going to try to pull up my video and my microphone, which is already in use on the Teams Live meeting. So we'll go ahead and turn that off. And it's letting me know. It will let you know too in Teams if there's any kind of error. So my video for my sample meeting is not working because I am talking with you. So Abby is there in our sample meeting so that I can have this other meeting running and be able to share it with you and show you some of the tools and techniques. So let's see here. If you're not familiar, the 3 dots are always more options that are available in Teams. Hi. So those are the more options. So you can take a look here and you can see that this is where you can start the recording. You can start and stop it. After the Teams meeting, it'll appear in your chat and will also be connected to your stream. So if you need access to it, you can find it there. Hi, friends. So in here, you can also change your backgrounds as well as your different views. If you've not played around with it, Microsoft, and we don't have enough people on this one to adequately portray the different backgrounds, but you are able to, we'll switch it around a little bit, to change your different views and to change how people are presented so that when more and more people join, you'll be able to see multiple people at once. I know that that's usually a question that a lot of people have is, how can I see everyone that's on the call? Well, you're in charge of changing that gallery view. And as more people join, you can additionally change the view in together mode and be able to put people into different scenes, and you can select those scenes. I'm using the web portal right now to show this to you, so I don't have full access to all of the backgrounds, but there are a number of backgrounds that you can choose from. So if you want to make it more aesthetically pleasing or more relaxing, Microsoft did scientific studies on how the brain best interacts and perceives information in these virtual meetings. And by setting people up in these little cutouts in their chairs, putting them in their seats, you're better able to interact and to engage with participants. It actually psychologically reduces your stress load and allows you to visually focus on those participants. So in a Teams meeting, you're also able to raise and lower your hand. There are additional features and emojis that are not showing up on the web app right now in my demo client. But I did want to call your attention too. So when individuals, Abby and Dennison, if you'll just go ahead and raise your hand too. That way we can see what it looks like on this side panel here. When the participants raise their hand, it will show a cue in the order of when individuals are raising their hand. So you'll know who is next to speak. I'm not seeing it. Is it working? There it goes. So it'll automatically line them up as their hands are raised. And then if the question is answered, you've already responded. Abby's was very inquisitive. I responded. Now, in order to keep track, I can select lower hand so that I know that I've responded to that question. In addition, so we talked about those meeting options, being able to change those on the fly, even after the meeting has started. You can select remove from meeting too. That's a little bit of the lobby controls that we talked about earlier. If you need somebody to be out, if there's any kind of an issue, he's not being rebellious right now, so I'm going to let him stay. You get to stay. But you can also choose to make an attendee because right now he has the ability to present. So if you're in a meeting and you realize that you forgot to change those settings, you can very quickly hover over an individual's name and be able to change that participant role and change how they can share content and information. I'm going to go ahead and leave him on and allow him to participate. But I just wanted to cover those few things because I think it's important for you to understand that Teams, it's not hardwired. You're not limited to just making that one decision. You have the flexibility to change your meeting to best suit your needs as you're navigating along. So V was asking, can anyone start recording a meeting? It depends on how you have your settings set up. Generally, it's those presenter roles that are able to start the recording. Let's see. Somebody asked where to get to the background. So this background is actually within Teams. It's not a background. It's called Together Mode. If you haven't used it, I wish I could show you a little bit more. I'm going to see if, I wonder if I could jump on here too. I don't know. Dennison, do you know, is it just the web app that's going to be limiting Together Mode scenes? Because I would love to be able to show them more. What do you think?
I believe the web app does actually have the capability for that. Give me 1 second.
I'm just wondering if I'm on my demo account, so it's possible that the demo account. Abby, can you turn your camera back on for me? We're going to make you be our poster child. So for Together mode to be activated, you have to have multiple people on that meeting and multiple people on camera. So you may not always see it in these smaller meetings, but Together mode is up to, I think it's 5 to 50 participants, where you can have them in these gallery views. And there's some fun ones out there if you've never used it. There's some that are under the ocean. There's some at very nice desks and tables, or there's some that are on like rocks and tables, outdoor amphitheater style. But it's just it's an alternative for you if you're wanting to look at a little bit different way of engaging with your audience and having that background. It's not an actual background, it's Together mode within Teams. And somebody's asking, can you invite someone outside UTD to join a meeting without sharing the invite via email? So when you put their email address in the invitation itself, it will send them an email. Otherwise, you can create the Teams meeting and copy and paste that hyperlink and be able to share the hyperlink with them so that they can directly join. So I'm going to check here. Oh, Abby, you're on that one. I don't know why it's not pulling on both. Maybe I selected the wrong one. I'm not sure. But so Together mode, there you are. Together mode does have multiple scenes for individuals. And when you're in this meeting, hi Soy. When you're in this meeting, you'll be able to, as well, you can change your settings from the top right panel. So anytime you create a meeting, if you forgot to do the meeting options and you need to scramble and make a change, always look for those 3 dots. It always means more options in Microsoft. So from there, you can make your selections if you want to mute and if you need to download an attendance list. So you can do this during the meeting so you can know exactly who's participating, or you're able to do this at the conclusion of the meeting. It will, in the event itself, it will have a panel that will share all of your attendance results as well as the recording if you record that. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go ahead and start recording this meeting just so that you all can see what that looks like to have it start recording. Wonderful. Once you start the recording too, and it's not showing since I'm in both, but you can also activate closed captioning. So that's helpful for anyone that would like to see it. It's useful also if somebody forgot their earphones or might be in a public space and it's hard to hear what the speaker is saying, but you can turn on closed captioning that way. I don't know if either of if you turn on closed captioning, since it's not appearing on my web app, I don't know if it'll display on mine, but I'll let you practice and see if it shows that for me too. But I think it's just because of my web app as opposed to using the actual desktop. But in addition, they should have, let me get you off Together mode. And if y'all could use some of those live reactions that you have in Teams, just to highlight how they can respond and communicate through those live responses within a Teams meeting. See, is it not showing up either in the browser? Did y'all do it? Here, look, okay. Doesn't look like it's showing up either in the browser. Sorry, bummer. But they do have those live reactions. It's a little hard to demonstrate it while also in the Teams live platform because it's restricting me on doing a couple of things. So I apologize that you're not able to see that, but I assume that you've seen that in your meetings in general. Okay. Another thing that you can do within a within a Teams meeting, and I'm going to go ahead and get off of this and go back into my Teams calendar. Sorry, hanging up. Bye, guys. Bye. Hanging up there, going back into Teams calendar because I did want to show you too within the meeting. I know we received a couple of questions on how you can live poll within an event. So if you ever want to do a quick survey or a quick question to your participants, you can activate a live poll in your Teams meeting by selecting the plus button and then searching for Microsoft Forms. I'm a frequent flyer, so it pulls up for me. And this is telling you can create a poll during your meeting. So we'll go ahead and save. And this is just to show you quickly. You can poll your audience by creating a new poll. You can type in any question that you want, and then you can type in your options. This is not as robust as the full Microsoft Form platform. This is what I like to call the apps are kind of the baby apps within Teams, but it does integrate within Teams. So you can add these options to poll your participants in a meeting, and you can keep responses anonymous, or you can share them with everybody. So when you save that, you have your question here. You can launch that within the meeting. And for those participants that are in the meeting, it will pop up on their screen and show that option for them to respond to that question. When they respond, they'll get these options here, and it will pull up in their chat so that you can get a quick glance and survey any of your participants with whatever question that you might have for them. Okay, Denison, I can see you're typing away on many questions. So I see one that says, if you record a meeting and a person does not want to be recorded, can they still attend? So recording the meeting is going to record the main presenter, or if you turn your video feed on. Beatrice, if somebody attends a meeting and you do not want to be recorded, keep your video feed off and you will not appear in the recording. So that's just kind of an easy way to ensure that if you prefer to have that privacy, just keep your video feed off. Don't wear a big hat and nobody will ever notice you're there, okay? So we talked a lot about that. Now I'm going to move into a new feature that was just launched on Sunday that I discovered on my drive home from spring break. So I wanted to share this with you all. There is now a chance to register in advance for a Teams meeting. You can built into Teams meeting is the registration form itself. So you can add a custom attendee registration page to your Teams meeting so that it's more like a webinar. And this is a way that you can manage attendance before your meeting and after. Okay, so this is a really big deal, a new thing. So I'm going to close this one first because I want to show you one where I didn't do it, just so you can see how to add this option in. Sorry, oh, it's going to try to make me join again. Somebody's still in there. So under the three dots, remember that's what we always look for those more options. Click on those three dots and you can see now there is the option to require registration. This is a brand new release. So you can determine, and by default, it is none. You're not required to register. However, if you do want people to register, you can select that option, and then you're going to have the availability to customize a registration page. Again, this is not as robust as Microsoft Forms. You don't have the pretty colors. You don't have some of the behind the scenes stuff, but it's sufficient. It's enough for you to get that information and for you to customize it so that participants can easily jump on and register in advance, and you'll have all of that data. So you saw I clicked to require registration for this is for the sample meeting that we were just on. So here you just add in your event details just like you would for any other meeting. This is what the participants, the attendees see. So you want to be clear in providing those details, and it'll automatically say it's a Microsoft Teams meeting. You can add a description. Here's a cool feature. You can add your speaker's name and provide a bio if you have multiple people presenting. So you can put their name and their title and their bio. I knew I was going to get the question, how many speakers can you add? I clicked on up to 15 before I started getting really bored and stopped adding speakers. So I know you can do at least a minimum of 15 speakers on there and include their name and bio. right there. This is the registration form for the attendees. So this is what they'll fill out. They'll complete this, and you can see by default, first name, last name, and email are already there, which is the basic information that you would need to follow up with them or to send them a survey or any information afterwards. From there, you can also add in any fields that you want to, or a custom question. You have only 2 choices for these custom questions. Scroll over, and with those, you can determine as well if you want to require those to be completed, or just leave them blank. So you would type in your question, and you could leave that blank for input, type in your question, and add a response. But this is a quick, easy way to get that advanced registration that you want for Teams meetings. So I don't know about y'all, but I was super excited when I saw that. It's going to minimize a lot of the activity that it takes to gather that information. Okay, so we're wrapping up. I've got a few more things to show you. Following your webinar, there's also a new feature. So if we can go ahead and let's pull those slides, because I believe that I took a screenshot of it. We don't have it yet since the registration component just started. But once we get the slides pulled up, you'll be able to see that you have advanced analytics and reporting within this. Okay, go ahead and jump ahead. Thank you. Sorry, I skipped that one. But you'll have, and I know this picture is blurry because I had to take it from Microsoft's site, so I'm sorry if you can't see anything. I'm going to talk to it so you can understand what you're seeing on the screen. These analytics show you exactly who attended and what time they joined, how long they stayed, and what time they left. So if you're doing anything for certification, for education purposes, and you need to ensure that somebody attended that full session or that full time, you're able to see it here. In addition, it has the number of people that attended, the number of people that pre-registered, so you can check your retention rate for meetings and know at a glance what those numbers are from who came and who had to leave. Okay, so we're back at the slides. Let's see. Okay, next new exciting thing. This was from Microsoft Ignite. I wanted to share this with you all. We don't have this yet. I know you want it. I want it too. So Teams is currently developing new presenter modes. These modes are to help provide just a different visual stimulus when you're presenting. So the one here, the mode that we're showing now, includes a reporter option that puts you in place of that content right above it, your shoulder, so that you can point to it and have it as a visual aid, kind of like a news anchor would do during a TV segment. So if that's been a dream of yours, you're about to be able to fulfill it in a Teams meeting within the next month or so. We're told it's coming soon. I know a few people that are getting that released as testing already. So the next mode that they're working on is the standout mode, which lets you float kind of above your content and have it as a little silhouette next to you. Part of this too is to help maximize what you can see on the screen, so you can have a closer relationship to the content that you're discussing. And the third option next is side by side, which you can probably guess means it's a picture that's right. So next, thank you, is the side by side, so you can see your webcam and that presentation right next to each other. So the standout will be rolling out later this month, and reporter and side-by-side modes are going to be available soon. So I just wanted to call your attention so that you can be aware that these are things that are coming to you. We do not have an exact timeline on when it releases, but by knowing that they're coming, you're going to be able to maximize your meetings to the full extent by engaging in this content. Okay, and the next slide, I was only able to take a quick screenshot of this, but I want to talk a little bit to you about this. The dynamic view is coming, and what this does is as people join, it's going to shift your view for you automatically so that you have an optimal viewing experience. It's going to be personalized for each viewer, So it'll change as people keep joining. And as they turn on video or start to speak, it auto synchronizes and alters to give priority to those who are presenting or speaking. So you can see here, some are bigger, some are smaller, some are off. So it's going to help you to have that focus of who is speaking and where your eyes need to go within that presentation. And what's beautiful is that it does it all by itself. So Teams is going to have that gallery of participants at the top of the screen too. I know, like for me in Teams Live, everyone's at the bottom. So this might be a little bit more useful, but they'll put that at the top so it keeps that your natural eye gaze up. So I know we're 3 minutes till. Dennison, are there any pressing questions that I need to answer before we close up? Is he back? Yes, there is.
Yes. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I just want to make sure.
So one person asked, can a presenter send questions to participants even if you are not the meeting organizer?
So, okay, I see that from Lee. So if you're asking if they can send questions to participants, so send through the chat, yes, everybody should, as long as you have not disabled the chat, everybody gets to participate in the chat, which I think is a brilliant feature because you can still keep your audience engaged, and you can still, the presenter then can still be able to see that and to respond to those questions accordingly. I saw too, Sabrina asked, is there a limit to these polls? I don't know on Poly because that's outside. It's not a Microsoft product, and so that's what I specialize in. There's the Microsoft products. I have not found that there's any limitation to the amount of forms or polls or quizzes, and I probably am the most frequent. I don't know. I'm a super frequent user of forms and polls, so I haven't hit the limit yet. So Sabrina, I feel like you just keep polling on. Stand strong with your polls. Keep going. I have not hit that limit. If you hit it, let me know. But I don't think that there is one because they want you engaged and using those products. So Beth asked a critical question too. I showed the webinar feature that's new for registration. So she says it's totally cool, but how do you advertise the event out of Teams? So thinking Qualtrics or with its QR codes and links, so we've done some of those QR codes and links as well. You would just send them the link. And I don't have a registration built, but it's actually a link itself. When you build that registration page, it becomes a link that you create, and you would send that link to your participants, and it pulls up similarly to what I showed you, but it pulls up as a completed form. I'm sorry I didn't have that prepared. Oh, Lee clarified, meant the polls, not just. Can a presenter create a poll? I think that they would have to. I think it's only the meeting organizer that can create the polls within the event. I can double check on that and let you know. Okay. So, not to be forgotten, no matter who your commanding officer is or where you're headquartered, we want your feedback. So hopefully today's regimented training showed you some new ways to use Teams meetings and recruited you to come to future sessions. Please don't go AWOL without first completing our survey. Thank you so much for attending. We're going to go ahead and leave this slide up for you. We're going to continue answering questions. If we don't get to you during this event, we will follow up with you by email. Y'all are awesome. You're an incredible inspiration to me. I appreciate your engagement, your attendance, and your participation. This is Amanda Pritchard, signing off.